Flights are taking off and landing again as normal, though every traveler's hug and kiss goodbye is maybe a little bit longer today, now in the wake of the deadliest air disaster in America in more than 2 decades. Just outside this building, as the sun comes up today, heavy equipment is expected to begin the effort to lift out of the Potomac what remains of American Airlines Flight 5342 and that Black Hawk helicopter it collided with Wednesday night. We're also learning more about the 67 victims of this crash, among them members of the U.S. figure skating community, from coaches to young competitors to parents, all who died returning from an event in Wichita. Crash investigators, meanwhile, are looking for clues to what happened, and they're hoping that 2 black boxes pulled from the water will contain a record of crucial flight details. CBS News senior transportation correspondent Chris Van Cleve is with us now with more on that. So what do investigators hope will be on those recordings?
Well, it should be a mountain of information, Tony. Everything the flight was recording, all of the sensors, as well as what the pilots were talking about. It will take time to get that transcript, but they may get some of the flight data in as few as in a few hours even. But this is the very beginning of an investigation that's going to go on for up to a year.
Nearly 50 National Transportation Safety Board investigators will be combing the Potomac River for evidence, piecing together what led to Wednesday night's deadly mid-air collision between an American Airlines regional jet and an Army Black Hawk helicopter.
We have data. We have substantial amounts of information. We need to verify information. We need to take our time to make sure it is accurate.
Key pieces of that data should come from the plane's 2 black boxes, which were recovered from the water Thursday night and are now being analyzed at a nearby NTSB lab.
They are a critical part of almost any investigation. Give us a lot of data points. They can tell us about communications that we may not know about. They're one of a lot of different pieces of evidence that we use to paint an overall picture to come up with probable cause.
Preliminary flight data indicates at the time of the crash, both aircraft appear to be flying at about 400 feet. Military helicopters are supposed to stay below 200 in that area. CBS News has learned the same air traffic controller managing helicopter traffic was also handling some planes taking off and landing around the time of the collision. Sources say those tasks are usually handled by 2 different people at that time of day.
We will look at all the humans that were involved in this accident. We will look at the aircraft. We will look at the helicopter. We will look at the environment in which they were operating in. That is standard in any part of our investigation.
So far, first responders have recovered dozens of bodies from the wreckage and say there are no survivors, making this the nation's deadliest airline crash since November 2001. The weight of that loss hit home for NTSB board member Todd Inman.
Last night, being at that debris field, I expected to see plane debris. But when you look over and you see those bodies laying, that's someone's family. It could be yours. They didn't expect that to happen. No one expected this call last night. And we're going to do everything we can to make sure things like this don't happen again.
But you're doing it with a broken heart, it sounds like.
That's what we're here for. That's the reason why we take this job. It's not one that everybody wants, but everybody wants somebody to be doing it.
It was an incredibly difficult scene when they first got on site there. Now, we are learning that it appears a second air traffic controller in the Washington Reagan Tower was doing the job of 2 people around the time of this incident. The NTSB is aware of that. They say they are going to look at how staffing and how manpower issues would have factored into this. Also, communication, Tony, is huge. Did controllers and the pilots of that helicopter know the plane had pivoted to another runway? Controllers knew. Did the helicopter pilots understand where they were looking when they said, "We see the plane"?
Big questions. No one better than you at covering this, Chris. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.